Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warm them from below till the rain comes tumbling down.
I'm Rory Makem. I'm here with Donal Clancy. We're about to play at the Black Box in Belfast. The anticipation is palpable.
We're here in the dressing room of the Black Box in Belfast, and we can hear the crowd out there coming in, and it sounds like a good house. So we're looking forward to another great night, hopefully.
We'd like you to please welcome back to Belfast, Makem and Clancy.
This of a brave young highwayman, this story we will tell. His name was Willie Brennan, and in Ireland he did dwell. Was on the Kilworth Mountains, he commenced his wild career, and many a wealthy nobleman before him shook with fear. And this Brennan on the moor, Brennan on the moor, old red and hot dog, it was young Brennan on the moor. Inch by inch, row by row, we're gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground.
I've always considered that I'm a link in a chain, doing the music that our families have always done, singing songs and telling the story of the history of our people. And I find it very important to keep doing it. And a lot of people don't do it anymore, so I'll keep doing it.
But likewise, it was a way of life for us, the music and the song. It wasn't, even though my father, he went off on tour as a professional, when he came home, he still sang. He'd sing in the house. We'd have parties and sessions in the house. If we went to the pub for a drink, he'd erupt into song at some stage, always. So that's what I grew up with. And
when I play or sing songs, I never even thought about the way I do it. I don't arrange anything, I just sing the song. My father always said, it's just a song, sing the song. Don't monkey around with it. And it's the way I've always done it, and music has changed around us, around me. But I've never changed the way I do it. I don't think I could. I tried being in a rock and roll band once, and it didn't suit me. Yeah. Well, any time one or more of us gather, songs always break out. It's just the way it always happens. I do it incessantly the way my father did and my granny did, walking around the house singing songs, and it doesn't matter what song it is. It's the song that's on the top of your head at the moment. You start singing it. And it drives my daughter crazy. And I suppose it drove my mother crazy when my father would do it. And it drove my granda crazy. But you look back on it with reverence. My father always whistling or singing, always. And I do it. I think we were both surprised at the numbers of people that showed up. I know I was surprised. Sold out shows both in Clonmel and Keady. 300 people in Clonmel.
Well, that's actually been revised to 500 by the people of South Tipperary.
Well, 500 it is.
And I'm sure in the future they'll be talking about the 1,000 people that they...
I remember it well, 1,000 people. 1,000 very satisfied customers. And both sold out shows kind of snowballed and got us invited back here to Belfast to the Black Box and festivals in Ireland and all over America. So.
And we don't even have a CD yet.
And we haven't practiced.
No.
My earliest musical memories of him would have been with Liam in the 70s. Was when I was coming into my own, learning my own music. I saw my father, Liam Clancy, play, and I was just taken by them. The power of just the two voices and a simple guitar and simple banjo. And it struck me. I remember where we were too. It was in Yokins in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, in the United States. And they commanded the crowd a crowd of probably 800 people.
The Clancys grew up in Carrickensure in South Tipperary, and of course the Makems grew up in Keady in County Armagh. So you had north and south, but two folk song collectors arrived at the Clancy household in August of 1955, and they're travelling around Ireland, and my father and my uncle Bobby went with them to help them carry the equipment. And they worked their way around the country, and eventually they arrived at the Makem household in Keady. And my father said it was like a mirror image of their own family. You had Sarah Makem there, she was like the queen bee, and all the kids were buzzing around. And she had a great store of songs. And my father, Liam, he just hit it off with Tommy straight away. They're the same age, they had the same interests. As my father used to say, they were both interested in girls, the theatre and music, in that order. And that was the start of a musical partnership that would last for over 30 years.
Yeah.
Well, I'll never forget, Tommy came to stay with us at our house down there in Ring in County Waterford, and he presented me with the tin whistle, because my father told him I was learning the whistle, and I must have only been 9, 10 maybe, and he had a tin whistle in the key of F, which is a small little whistle, perfect for a child. And I'll never forget him handing me the whistle, and he said, "That's for you." And I still have it to this day, would you believe?
Yeah.
Never gave me a whistle.
I'll give it.
No, we see what you have to say in there.
Well, my father, when the Clancys and my father were going away, playing at it, they all lived in New York at the time. And my father decided at one point he'd move back to Ireland. And he bought a house in Dromiskin, just south of Dundalk. And that's where we lived. And my brothers and I were all born in Drogheda at Lourdes Hospital up on the hill. And when I was born, my father was away in America playing with the Clancys. Oh no, geez, he wouldn't. He would have just left. He was away playing with Ray Durham in America. And my mother was home alone in Dromiskin House. It was the manor house of Dromiskin. And she had to drive herself, put the 3 kids in the back of the car, and drove herself when she was in labor with me down to Drogheda. And I was born. And the skies parted. And the sun shone. So we lived there in Dromiskin until I was 2 years old. And my father was getting a lot more work in America, so we moved back to New Hampshire, where so many people from South Armagh, Keady and Annvale, and across the border in Monaghan, a lot of them moved to the mill towns in New England. And that's what our family did. And so my father went to where his family was in America, in New Hampshire. They all worked in the linen trade here in Ireland, and they moved over to America to get out of the mills, and they went right to the mills in New England to work cotton, and they made textiles up in New Hampshire. So that's why we ended up there, and I was raised in New Hampshire. Bred in Ireland, buttered in New Hampshire.
It's funny, my story is almost the opposite of Rory's. I was born in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And the reason for that was that my father, he was offered a television program for the CBC. It was a music program. And interestingly enough, he had left the Clancy brothers, and Tommy had left before him. And he invited Tommy out as a guest on his music show. And that's how the duo formed after the Clancy brothers and Tommy Makem, how the Makem and Clancy duo formed. And for that reason, then we moved to Dover, New Hampshire, where Rory grew up.
That's right.
Because the 2 boys started working so much together. And we lived there for 5 years. So at that point, my father got he got a hankering to return to Ireland. And when I was 7, we moved back. We moved back to Ireland. So I was born in Canada and raised over County Waterford.
You-
What year was it? I think it was 2016. We got a call from the Joni Madden, the great Joni Madden of Cherished Ladies, and she asked us to perform together on her folk and Irish cruise in the Caribbean.
Right.
And who would turn that down?
You can't say no to Joni Madden.
But I was playing at the Milwaukee Festival over there in Wisconsin, solo. And Rory lives in Chicago. It's only an hour and a half away. So he came up to talk about what we might do together on the cruise.
We thought we had a gig, we'd better see if we could play a song together.
Yeah. And I was going up to do my show, and I said, "Do you have the banjo with you?" And he said, "I do. It's in the back of the car." And I said, "Well, why don't you come up and sing a song?"
Yeah.
So he did.
It was great.
And on the strength of that, we were invited back as a duo the following year.
That's right, yeah.
But the thing that struck me most about that is that we had no rehearsal whatsoever, but we had the same words and the same phrasing for the songs that we did.
Yeah.
Because of the time you spent performing with your father, and from the time I spent playing with my father.
Right.
We picked up their phrasing and their versions of the songs.
I think our affection for our culture and the music that we grew up with led us both to playing music with our fathers.
Yeah.
And it was simple for my father. You know, he needed a guitar player. And we traveled well together, and he liked me. And so we started playing together, and then we'd run into you and your father and Robbie at festivals or concerts. And then I was in the band with my brothers, and you were off with Danu or Sullis or Eileen Ivers.
Some such band, yeah.
And we'd always run into each other.
Yeah.
And we never thought about it until Joni said, "Why don't you guys should be singing together." Well, all right.
Yeah, why not?
Sure. Well, we were decided to do a coach tour where we'd bring Americans over. I had done them previous. Donal has participated in them numerous times. And we decided to load up a coach full of Americans, and we did. And we thought it might be a good idea, and we were invited to do some shows. And just last year, we did 2 shows, one in Clonmel and one up in the hub of the universe, Keady. And I never know what to expect when I play over here. Anytime I played with my father, what these great people here would think of me coming back with my American accent and singing their songs, but they're my songs too. And the emotion, the Clonmel show, there were old farmers coming over to us crying afterwards. These songs and this style of presentation is so intrinsic to the being, to who we are as a country. And they hadn't seen it like that in so long.
Yeah, well, I remember one man, he came up and he shook my hand. He said, "We need this. The people need this.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't heard these songs in so long."
And when we got to Keady, and it was an audience, Catholic, Protestant, it didn't matter. Two Protestant old men came up to me after, both weeping, saying that was the best concert they'd ever been to. It includes everybody. There's no exclusion in the music we play. Anybody can do it. I'm proof of that. And it's the sharing, the social ups and downs and everything we go through together. And we'll sing these songs together, and we'll keep doing it, no matter if nobody shows up. But if we have a room full of 300 people or 3,000 people, we're going to do the same thing, the respect for the songs and the respect for the people that we're playing them for. That's so important to us.
Well, there was a big nostalgia factor for the audience.
Yeah, they're
that
absolutely.
they hadn't heard a lot of these songs in so many years.
Yeah.
And that's what I got out of it. And especially talking to people after the show, how much it meant to them to hear these songs once again. that they thought they died out with our fathers.
Well, I've spent so many years playing this music in America, and everywhere I've gone, the Clancys and my father have meant so much to Irish Americans, and connecting with their history and where they came from. And here in Ireland, it's the same thing. The Clancys and my father connected people with their past and hopefully their future. And that's the music we'll keep singing.
When the Clancy brothers and Tommy, when they first started recording, my father always said they had the pick of the best songs because they were one of the first Irish folk recording acts. Yeah. So how many albums did they record? Dozens and dozens.
Dozens. And when they were putting set lists together, they didn't have to think twice about it.
No.
These songs they grew up with, they were in their heads already. And even being from two different parts of the country, they knew the same songs, you know. My granny would have sung one song, and your granny sang the same song in a South Tipperary version. Yeah. And that's how they put their songs together. And when we started doing it, we had these songs in our heads already anyway.
And we've only scratched the surface of the back catalogue, but there's a whole other. I mean, you do your own solo stuff. Yeah. I do my solo stuff, and there's lots of and a whole new area we can explore as well going into the future.
And adding the songs that when they strike us or we might write them. Donal's a fabulous songwriter.
Go that far now, but
you're a great songwriter. And we'll add the songs that hopefully will come to mean something to people. The song has to mean something to us.
Exactly.
And it will certainly come across when it means something to us, and hopefully means something to the people we're singing it to.
Rich double brave young highwayman, his story we will tell. His name was Willie Brennan, and in Ireland he did dwell. Was on the Kilworth mountains he commenced his wild career, and many a wealthy nobleman before him shook with fear. And it's Brennan on the moor, Brennan on the moor, bold, brave and undaunted was young Brennan on the moor. I'm the last of the Irish.
Had an absolutely beautiful, amazing night. The boys did their families proud, brilliant night, very emotional, and the first night that I've been to the Black Box that I've absolutely cried my way through the whole evening. I'm so grateful to them, they're amazing.
Oh, to see the two of them playing together, you almost feel the nostalgia yourself for them. I was a young kid when the fathers were going, but it was a great, very emotional show for them too. You can see the tears coming to Rory's eyes at one point when he sang Before Green Fields.
I was actually in the Ulster Hall back in the 1960s seeing the Clancy brothers, and that was just wonderful tonight. Knew all the songs, and I really, really enjoyed it.
We'll start off with an old favourite. This all brave young highwayman, his story we will tell. His name was Willie Brennan, and in Ireland he did dwell. Was on the Kilworth mountains he commenced his wild career, and many a wealthy nobleman before him shook with fear. And this Brennan on the moor, Brennan on the moor, bold, brave and undaunted was young Brennan on the moor. One day upon the highway as Willie went down, he met the mayor of Cashel, a mile outside the town. The mayor, he knew his features. To him, young man, said he, your name is Willie Brennan, you must come along with me. And there's Brennan on the moor, Brennan on the moor, old brave and undaunted was young Brennan on the moor. Now Brennan's wife had gone to town with visions for the boy, and when she saw her Willie, she commenced to weep and cry.
said, hand me that tenpenny as soon as we split. She handed him a blunderbuss from underneath her cloak, for young Brennan on the moor. Brennan on the moor, moor, brave and undaunted was young Brennan on the moor.
Now with that loaded blunderbuss, the truth I will unfold. He made the mare to tremble and robbed him of his gold. 100 pounds was offered for his apprehension there, but he with horse and saddle to the mountain did repair. It's young Brennan on the moor, Brennan on the moor, moor, brave and undaunted was young Brennan on the moor. Young Brennan being in a war upon the mountains high, left cavalry and infantry to take the they did try. But he laughed at them with scorn until at last was set. By a false-hearted woman he was cruelly betrayed. Was young Brennan on the moor, Brennan on the moor, moor, brave and undaunted was young Brennan on the moor. They took Brennan to the crossroads and there he hung and died. But still they say that in the night there's some that see him bright. They see him with his blunderbuss all in the midnight chill, as fall along the King's Highway. Why is Willie Brennan still, and it's Brennan on the moor, Brennan on the moor, moor, brave and undaunted was young Brennan on the moor.
Well, thank you. It's great to be in Belfast. I know what you are all thinking. You're saying, Makem and Clancy, Jesus, don't they look great? Well, you're right, we do look great. This is Donal Clancy. He's from Waterford. He's from Ring in County Waterford. And I'm Rory Makem. I grew up in New Hampshire over in the United States, but my family's from Armagh. That's right.
Rory was born here and he grew up over there. I was born over there and I grew up here. Interestingly enough. Well, I didn't hear much singing out of you that time. But in all our travels, I think this is one of the best sing-alongs I've noticed. People love to sing along with this one. And it has very simple chorus. It just says, ah-dee-doo, da-day. Ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-day-dee. He whistled and he sang till the green woods rang, and he won the heart of a lady. Do you know that one? Did he sing? All right.
A gypsy rover came over the hill, down through the valley so shady. He whistled and he sang till the green woods rang, and he won the heart of a lady. Ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-doo, da-day. Ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-day. He whistled and he sang till the green woods rang, and he
She left her father's castle gate. She left her own fond lover. She left her servants and her estate to flow the gypsy road.
let's hear it again. Ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-doo, da-day. Ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-day. He whistled and he sang till the green woods rang, and he won the heart of a lady. Her father saddled up his fastest steed and wandered the valleys all over. He sought his daughter at great speed, and the whistling gypsy rover. Here we go. Ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-doo, da-day. Ah-dee-doo, we came at last to a mansion fine, down by the river so shady, and there was music and there was wine for the gypsy and his lady. Ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-doo, da-dee, ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-dee. He whistled and he sang till the green woods rang, and he won the heart of a lady. He's no gypsy, my father, she said, but lord of these lands all over, and I will stay till my dying day with my whistling gypsy rover. On your own now, try it. One more time. Ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-doo, da-dee, ah-dee-doo, ah-dee-dee. He whistled and he sang till the green woods rang, and he won the heart of a lady.
You're the best Friday night singers we've heard all week. And that was lovely. Thank you.
My granny was a great singer. There's a few of my cousins here tonight. We all, oh Jesus, there's more of them over here. I went to see the Chieftains one time at the City Hotel in Armagh, and a girl who was dancing with them, Carol Butler, was at the front desk, and I went over to say hello. She didn't know I was there. And she gave me a big hug, and she says, imagine running into a Makem in Armagh. And half the people in the room went, what? Well, Granny, she knew thousands of songs. In fact, she's the reason the Clancys and the Makems met. Donal had, his uncles were in New York City at the time. And a woman named Diane Hamilton wanted to get into collecting folk songs. And Paddy said, well, when you go to Ireland, you'll go down to see my mother. And then Diane decided she'd go up to Armagh to see my granny. And she took along with her Liam Clancy and his brother Bobby to carry all the heavy equipment.
Two rogues, if ever there were two rogues.
And when they got to Keady, my father and Liam hit it off. They both had the same aspirations. They wanted to go to America and become actors. And music got in the way.
Well, the way my father put it, he said, they're both interested in girls, the theatre, and music, in that order. So.
My father was interested in one girl, my mother. His entire life. He didn't know her then, but it was just that summer, just before they met, that my father went with the Keady Dramatic Society to the Opera House here in Belfast. And they participated in a competition. And one of the judges, his name was Sir Hugh Hunt. He was an Australian actor, but he ran the Old Vic in London. And he went right up to my father and said, I'd love you to come to London and be at the Old Vic. And he decided that day he wouldn't go to London, he'd go to America. And he ended up going to America that November. Well, when my father and Liam Clancy got back together in 1974, 75, they were looking for songs to sing. And my father remembered Granny singing a song that she learned when she was a child in school. She learned it as a poem. And later in life, she put the tune to it that we all know. And my father wrote home and said, Ma, would you send me that song about the rose? And she said, I would. And she took a steno notebook and she filled the first page with this song. And she filled the rest of the pages with songs that were just in her head. So if you could help us sing it, Jesus, that would make my family very happy.
When I was 21, I heard a wise man say, give crowns and pounds and guineas, but not your heart away. Give pearls and rubies, but keep your fancy free. When I was 21, no use to talk to me. And when I was 21, I heard him say again that a heart out of the bosom, it's never given in vain. 'Tis paid in sorrow plenty and sold for endless rue. And now I am 22, and oh, 'tis true, 'tis true. Red is the rose that in yonder garden grows. Fair is the lily of the valley. Clear is the water that flows from the Boyne. But my love is fairer than Annie. Come over the hills, my bonny Irish lass. Come over the hills,